Hello, guys, and welcome back to Exit or Die, the no bullshit podcast for founders building what's next. My guest today is Zeynep Yorulmaz, co-founder and CEO of Mindra, a platform that's pioneering how autonomous agents collaborate, self-optimize, and build workflows that adapt in real time. From AI orchestration to micropayment economies between agents, Zeynep is building something that sounds like science fiction, but it's already shipping. And her journey spans everything from building dyslexia edtech, engineering at Bosch, and to winning back-to-back AI hackathons in 2024 and 2025. Zeynep, welcome to Exit or Die.
Hi, Peter. Thank you for inviting me.
You're welcome. I would say let's start directly with the big picture. Everyone is talking about AI agents, but Mindra goes one step further with orchestration. What's the core problem you are solving?
So basically, we're solving the communication problem between agents, and it's not just about that. Right now, the agent orchestration is very fragmented in companies. Companies outsource some agents from they have some external agents from some startups. They have their own agents like internal coded in Python. They have some agents in other languages. They use different frameworks. For example, OpenAI has its own agent builder. SDK, also Crew AI, is a framework that you can use to just build Python agents. Also, there are other like LangGraph and other stuff, but it's very hard to connect these agents if they're in different frameworks, if they're in different platforms, if they are deployed in different places. So what we're doing is basically we accept every type of agent and we onboard their agents into our system. And this makes it very easy to just make it as easy as plug and play so that you don't need to build any code. You don't need to build any N8N or Zapier workflows in your system.
Mm-hmm. So that means also that traditional workflows are dead, right? But why?
Yeah. Basically, for example, I'm not gonna say anything bad about N8N or Zapier, but let's just deep dive into that. For example, in N8N, you need to define everything. Like if step A occurs, you need to go to agent B. If step B occurs, you need to go agent C. But the problem here is that when an agent stops working or there's a problem with an agent, I mean, agents are not perfect right now because of LLMs and other stuff. And the whole system collapses because it's dependent on that. And because the flow is very static, you cannot just go beyond it. And because of the staticity, the thing is you spend wasting tokens anyway. And you cannot just stop because it's already deployed, teams are already using it, and non-technical teams have a hard time building these workflows and also playing around them. And they generally have some engineering teams, some automation engineers, and some people always working on these workflows. And when a non-technical employee needs some new workflow, they cannot just build it right away. And we're actually touching that point as well. So at Mindra, you can just go type what you want and you could just build your workflow on runtime. You don't need to know anything about workflows or if conditions or anything else.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, currently building such AI agents is a very technical part, right? But give us the inside look. So how does Mindra actually work under the hood? And how do agent-to-agent micropayments change the game?
Okay. So at Mindra, we want to make it as easy as possible. So when companies come to us, they bring all of their AI agents into our system and we onboard them. And after we onboard these agents, we create an agent pool for each company. And after you start the prompt or you create your own workflows with your system prompt through natural language, we just know which agents to call. For example, you give us a very complex task in the prompt and we break it into subtasks and we assign the correct agent for each of the tasks. And in our system, there is a like a master agent we called orchestrator agent. And this orchestrator agent decides on which agents to call, and if they should call it in parallel or in sequentially, checks the output of each agent so that we know it's working correctly. And if there's a problem with any of the agents, we can always go around it, change the agent, or just do something to replace it. And we want to make sure that the system works so that it's more reliable and we don't want to waste any tokens. So in my opinion, this makes it more easy for like teams so that they can use it anyway, they can prompt anything anytime they want. And right now the teams are right now struggling with, they don't know how, like, what they can build with AI. I mean, non-technical teams use AI to write emails or rewrite stuff, but they cannot build more complex things because they are not aware of what AI can do.
So in my experience, I mean, I also work with AI agents, but also with normal things, how like ChatGPT, and everyone knows that AI can hallucinate, right? And can fail. So what happens when an agent fails or hallucinates? So how does Mindra detect that and respond?
So, like I mentioned, we have our own orchestration layer, and this orchestration agent actually goes through each output of the agents, and it defines some success metrics so that we know that it's working, so that we can always compare, have a look at it. And if it's not working well, for example, sometimes when like LLMs do like tool calling or MCP, they just like fill the parameters wrong. And when you see it in the output, you get the error message so that you know, for example, a header is missing. And in the second step, AI can go and change the header to the correct thing so that it works, for example.
Okay, cool. Your background is really cool. So you have won competitions like Ignite, Tech for Good, and others. You were also a jury member at Rosehack. What's your mindset when building prototypes, and how do you go from hackathon energy to real product delivery?
One thing I love about hackathons that like it pushes you to build something really quick, and it needs to work and you need to deploy it. In my opinion, this creates like a also not only the force, but also you need to think about the user because you want to show your project to others and you want to make sure you get the most points. So I think, in my opinion, we have right now in the AI coding area is very valuable so that you could build prototypes in hours. Like with Cloud Code, you could just like build anything, like any prototype in 2 or 3 hours, in my opinion. And this really helps. And also, like coding and building prototypes is not just about coding because like Cloud Code is already capable of that, but think about the product side of things. How does the user interact with my product, and what are the pain points? For example, at Mindra, the I mean people we want to reach out is the non-technical people, so we want to make sure that it's that easy and it's very simple to use. We want to make sure the experience is seamless. And for example, if you're building something for developers, you want to make sure that, for example, you want to have the auth documents, you want to make sure that everything is transparent so that they know how to use and everything. So it depends on like who you're building for. And at hackathons, I think you could also like have a lot of feedback from other people, which makes it easy to reiterate every time as well. And in 2 3 hours, you're reiterating every time, and you have a new lunch.
Yeah, and I mean, the good thing is you definitely have to focus on the view of the customer, right? And then you have a great solution. And that's, I think, definitely one of the best parts of hackathons. Zeynep, you also worked at industry giants like Bosch, and you also worked for Kuika, building AI tools for real world use. What did those experiences teach you about scaling AI from ideas to implementation?
Mm-hmm. So I worked at very different companies. I worked at research, I worked at corporate, I worked at startups. This helped me to understand the different perspective of different companies. For example, if you're at a corporate company, they're still very slow integrating all of these agents into their system. For example, like most of the corporate companies started to use ChatGPT even like 3 months ago, 4 months ago, which is crazy. Like if you think about it, because you're missing lots of productivity outcomes of these tools. And they're crazy about security or like other legal issues, and it slows down the teams, and you need to find some hacks to go into these companies and sell them. And
Mm.
although I thought very badly about N8N or Zapier because they collapsed and everything, but for example, they're very good at selling those automations to these companies, because when something is very static, for corporates, it's something they could predict. Even though it fails, they could just like predict it, they could just monitor it, and they're okay with it. But with AI, you cannot just predict anything at all. There
Mm.
might be anything, and they don't want any of their customers to see these issues. They want to be, for example, in German companies, they want to make sure they're like 100% accurate. They don't want to have any issues. Yeah, depending on the company culture as well.
Yeah. What does the world of agentic workflows look like? So, do humans eventually step back or step up into new roles? Because one of the biggest myths, I think, is that people have the fear that they lose jobs and all the stuff, right?
Of course not. For example, I'm just gonna give you an example from Mindra. So, I mean, although non-technical people just prompt everything, they need to check stuff. So we have some guardrails. For example, the agent wants to execute something that is risky. We have risk levels. For example, it's medium or high risk. The user needs to check it before the agent executes. I think this is still very important. I mean, last week we have seen the crazy things happening with CloudBot, for example.
Mm.
CloudBot like published their users' credit card numbers, their names, a lot of the stuff that they don't want. And because these were like all of them autonomous agents, you cannot just like go and stop it, and you couldn't do anything about it. I think this is a bit scary for businesses, and you don't want it to happen. I mean, even though for like users, B2C users, like I don't want my credit card on the internet, and
Mm.
you cannot just like give agents to SaaS so that they can just go execute anything they want. I think we still have time to just like maximize the output of these things. So we have some guardrails. I think humans still need to be in some of the loops that agents are executing. So, I mean, we're positioning people as some checkers. Also, I mean, the quality of the output is important for companies. Agent could, for example, accomplish something, but the output, I mean, is not always the greatest. Even with Cloud Code, we use Cloud Code for coding, but sometimes you need to prompt 5 times to get the perfect output. And I think it's the same for workflows as well.
Yeah, I mean, the most important thing is that people learn how to work with AI and robots together, right? So I think that's the most important thing for people to understand, that they don't lose jobs. They only have to learn how to work with them together, and then I think, in my opinion, no one will lose their job. You mentioned regulations. You are building in a space where regulation, ethics, and scale collide. How do you think about responsible AI orchestration?
So, I mean, the observability part is really important. I think everyone should be able to just go around the logs, check the inputs and outputs of each agent so that they could also learn about them. For example, if you go to Gemini, ChatGPT, or Cloud, you need to prompt in different ways to get what you want. Even though for like different LLMs, how we prompt changed a lot. And for workflows as well and agents as well, I think in my opinion, you could just like need to go check around the logs, see the inputs, outputs, and also you learn how to prompt yourself as well. And I think compliance is really important for companies as well. Still, like you need to be responsible of the data you use. You need to check it. Also, everyone should be able to check it. And right now, some companies are like still looking for on-premise solutions, which I think, in my opinion, is crazy because we are in the world of fast deployment, fast development. We don't want to fall behind from our competitors, right? But they still are looking for on-premise solutions in the world of AI, which I think is not very competitive of them because, for example, you cannot just like have OpenAI deployed for you in your company or cloud as well. And I think it just doesn't help you in any way.
Yeah, understand. Thank you so much for these insights so far. So we at Founders Today sometimes faster than AI, and it's called the Exit or Die Rapid Fire. So it's a lightning round, one sentence answers, please, from your side, and from my side, you will get 5 short questions. Okay?
Sure.
So my number one question is the most misunderstood part of AI agents.
I would say reliability.
Okay. Number 2 is one trend in AI that's totally overrated.
Cloud bots.
Okay. Number 3, a tool you cannot build without.
Cloud code.
Yeah. Number 4, a very special question, in my opinion. Your dream hackathon partner, dead or alive?
My co-founder İlker.
Okay, cool. And the last question is, if you were not building Mindra, what would you build next?
Okay, it's a good question. I mean, before pivoting to Mindra, I was working on like, I mean, it's not even like a one word answer anymore, but
Yeah.
um, we were building in the agentic payments area, but what I have seen there was companies are not any ready for it. And we need to build the orchestration layer before the payments so that we could just integrate and go around it in the future. And orchestration layer is a step before the payment part, in my opinion, and the micropayments in the agentic area as well.
Okay. Yeah. I think that's definitely a space where we have a lot of potential in the future. Also with payment solutions with businesses and banks and all the stuff. So I think banks definitely have to learn a lot of tech founders to get future ready, right?
Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah. Zeynep, great insight so far. I'm sure with Mindra you have a great journey and you will definitely reach your goals and have a lot of success because it's a topic where we have a lot of potential and we definitely will see a lot of things in the future. My final question would be, if you could upload one belief about AI into every founder's brain, what would it be?
So I think founders right now, they're all building in the area of AI or AI agents. They're doing, I think, like you cannot compete with OpenAI or Claude in if you're like a rapper. Even though you build some specific features and everything, you cannot just compete with them. Because I think, in my opinion, these big tech companies, they're also going for the verticals right now as well. For example, ChatGPT has recently released ChatGPT Halt. For example, Google launched something with UX and UI, and they're also like working on workflows. If you're not doing something very unique, you cannot compete with them just being a rapper.
Yeah, great. That's definitely a great answer. Zeynep, any last message to the founders outside there in the whole startup ecosystem from your side?
I think it's really exciting to build with other founders that we complement each other. For example, I'm building the orchestration layer and other people are building AI agents. Some people are working on evaluation part of AI agents. Some people are working on, for example, the responsibility of AI agents, which I think is very great and makes a very great community so that we could just complement, go for partnerships and make a great work together.
Yeah. Yeah, Zeynep, thank you so much for telling us your story, telling us a little bit more about Mindra and the look behind the company. I would say that's it for this episode of Exit or Die. Huge thanks to Zeynep Yorulmaz, not just for building smart agents, but for helping humans work smarter. My last message would be, if AI workflows are the new operation system for business, platforms like Mindra may be writing the future rules of work itself. Thank you and see you soon. Bye, Zeynep.
See you. Thank you, Peter.